Are you ready? One of the best Olympia responses we had, but of course I have to do it twice. This time a little louder with the rolling. Are you ready? Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce the 19 best bodybuilders on the planet. Our first competitor from Copper Canyon, Texas, the Texas Titan, Branch Warren.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Beyond measure.
Because it's not about where you come from. It's about heart. You have to give it everything you got.
Let's give it up for the Texas Titan, Branch Warren. Our next Olympian comes to us from Dubai in United Arab Emirates. Please welcome Issa Obiad.
Pretty impressed with him, but it just seems like he's not quite taken that next step, and part of it's probably his leg size, needs to add more and just have a little bit better balance all over.
Yeah, I think Issa came out.
Let's give it up for Issa Obiad. Our next Olympian from Canton, Georgia, the X-Man cometh, Tony Freeman.
Yeah, look, Tony Freeman's found the fountain of youth, and I got to find out from him exactly what it is. I think this is the best that he's looked.
That's the X-Man, Tony Freeman. Making his first appearance on the Olympia stage from Ontario, Canada, Pac-Man Ben Pekulski.
You're going to have to make a choice. You have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. Whether that man is good character or bad, he's going to change the world.
The Pac-Man, Ben Bukulski.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you
Took
to
a
your
lot of
knees
people by
and keep you there
surprise earlier this year at the Arnold, where he placed fourth. Guys like Dexter Jack.
Give it up for the Pac-Man, Ben Bukulski. Our next Olympian comes to us from Hurst, Texas. Not only one of the world's best bodybuilders, but one of the world's strongest bodybuilders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Johnny Jackson.
Going to be full enough, is it?
They call him the Ox, Evan Senapati. Our next Olympian comes to us from Bondy, France. Please welcome Lionel Bayecki.
Ouch, you're not going to see me doing that anytime soon, Larry, I promise you.
All the way from France, Lionel Bayecki. A former Mr. Olympia. A man so sharp, they call him the Blade. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dexter Jackson.
At least they're black, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, and lowlifes, it is with outstanding pleasure that we are here to present tonight.
Simply understand that to be number one is to be...
Go.
Former Mr. Olympia, Dexter the Blade Jackson. Our next Olympian comes to us from Germany. Please welcome The Rock, Ronnie Rockel.
At the end of tonight's event.
He's The Rock, Ronnie Rockel. Making his debut on the Olympia stage from Townsend, Delaware. Let's welcome Fred Biggie Smalls.
You're looking at Fred Smalls, new pro, and making his debut at this Mr. Olympia. A guy who definitely does...
Don't stop, don't stop.
One of the best entertainers in the IFBB today, Fred Biggie Smalls. Our next Olympian from Germantown, Maryland. Half bodybuilder, half machine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Flexitron, Sean Roden. Thank you, Sean Roden. Also making his first appearance on the Olympia stage from Karaj, Iran. please welcome Balto Ebespor.
Now up we have Balto Ebespor from Iran. One of the guys we mentioned in the pre-show, along with Heath.
Thank you, Balto Ebespor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next Olympian, Dennis Big Bad Wolf.
Until the blood moon wanes, you will never truly be safe.
Up now, big-time fan favorite Dennis Wolf. As we mentioned in the pre-show, one of the big surprises for me personally was not seeing him in that top 5 call-out. I really felt, even if he wasn't going to make the top 5, probably, definitely deserved that comparison, that opportunity. I do believe.
From Germany, Dennis Big Bad Wolf. Our next Olympian comes to us from Greece. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Kefalianos.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Spartan, Michael Kefalianos.
Now up, Mike Kefalianos. Been in this contest twice. Yeah, if I had one critique on Kefalianos that sticks out, is probably needs to have bigger legs and quad sweep and more sweep from front to back, and probably a little more hardness in the hamstrings.
Give it up for Michael Kefalianos. Our next competitor, coming to us from the Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Roelie Winkler.
about you. So good. Taking the stage now, Ruli Winkler, qualified for this contest. As we talked about earlier, is he going to bring that same conditioning he brought last night?
A lot of poses, and sometimes as a fan, the guy in this great a condition, that's what you want to see. Looks fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greene. A veteran of the Olympia stage from Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hidetada Yamagishi. Japan's favorite son, Hidetada Yamagishi. In our final competitor of the evening is your reigning and current Mr. Olympia, the Gift, Phil Heath.
A man who needs no introduction, the reigning Mr. Olympia, the Gift, Phil Heath. Probably no athlete with a more appropriate nickname. I saw Phil win the 2005 NPC Junior Nationals, not win, but dominate in Chicago, and turned to my wife and said, this guy's going to be Mr. Olympia one day. And nice to see him make good.
He's your defending champion, Mr. Olympia, Phil, the Gift, Heath. Right now on the spot, this score worth 50% of the athlete's final tally. With that said, the gentlemen are in place. We're going to send it down to our head judging table. And our head judge, Miss Sandy Williamson.
Testing. Okay. I need 19, Phil Heath. And number 17, Ty Greene. That's going to be at rope. Okay, now.
Well, Larry, no surprise here. They've got their two favorites, and they're not being shy about it.
No, wait, hold on. Stop. No, wait, stay back on the line, both of you. And do me a favor, take 2 steps. To the right.
Absolutely. Both guys look supremely confident. They know they're on. They both want it bad.
I think as a judge, when you look at these quarter-turn compulsories, you would have to give this aspect of the compulsory round to Phil Heath. Standing semi-relaxed, I think he's got advantages over
Quarter-turn to the right.
in each of these positions. It's closest from the back.
Okay, now, do
but
me
I
a favor.
think when you
Take
see
a step
them
apart
here,
from each other.
you
There's
see a
plenty of
significant
room.
difference in their physiques. When they pose, could
Got
be
to
another
stay on the
story.
same side. Come on, a little bit of room between you. Come on, Phil, take one. Yep, thank you. Okay, now front.
Absolutely, and we saw a little bit of gamesmanship from Phil and Kai at the pre-judging, and that was fun. You know, last year.
Here we go, folks. Who's winning the pose?
Jay
Come on now,
and
front
Phil,
double bicep.
and that's always good for bodybuilding.
And relax. Relax.
I really think that front double bi is one pose where Phil definitively wins. It's just not a good pose for Kai. He has short biceps, and his stomach distends a little bit.
Okay, you can't make this
Phil
difficult
tends to
for me.
dominate
It's my
in that
first
pose.
time calling.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting is that Kai looks so conditioned by himself. From the front, standing next to Phil, Phil looks like the more conditioned athlete to me. From the back, Kai is super conditioned, but when you look at the striations and the separation that Phil has, you can see, in my opinion, from the front, he looks to be more conditioned.
And relax.
And anytime he flexes those arms like that, there's just not anybody in the world who can hit that side pose with his biceps and triceps and look like that. Now, from the back, this is where Kai has a chance to make up some ground.
Olympias are one from the
Phil
back.
is no
Who's
slouch
winning
back
this
here
one?
either. And, you know, Kai has some poses where he's overwhelming, but Phil looks good in every pose.
Yeah, I think the side chest is a shot that Kai does well against Phil in. From the rear double bi, again, very close. I mean, you know, we're splitting hairs between apples and oranges. I think Phil's back looks more dense down the middle. Kai's looks more separated and striated. But I've said all along, I think the rear double bi and the side chest are the two shots where Kai has a slight, and I mean slight, advantage over Phil. In the rest of the poses, I give Phil a slight and in some cases more significant advantage over Kai, like this rear lat spread where you see the density of Heath's back, which was always thought to be the weak point that would hold him back, and he's been so diligent in turning it into a strong point.
Yeah, it's interesting that rear lat spread, Kai has huge sweeping lats, but not quite that detail in the middle that Phil does.
Okay, face forward, sorry.
And again, both guys obviously supremely confident in what they're bringing to the stage tonight, and that just makes it more fun for everybody else.
And relax. Your favorite, most muscular.
The big crowd pleaser coming up, and I think this is a shot where it's hard for anybody to hang with Phil.
Yeah, you look at Phil Heath in these poses, it's the roundness. You look at him there, and, you know, the interesting thing, this is why we say you have to put two guys next to one another, because when I saw Kai do his free posing routine.
Yeah, and also throwing in Evan Centopani and Tony Freeman, this is very interesting.
So if you're looking at your screen left to right, you have Evan Centopani, Tony Freeman, Branch Warren, Sean Roden. Well, now you have Dennis Wolf and, of course, Dexter Jackson.
And this is very interesting, putting Dennis in the middle when he wasn't even in that call-out to begin with, right next to Branch. This is very interesting. It doesn't always mean anything when they put somebody in the middle, but I mean, this is why they have the confirmation round of scoring, in case they feel like they might have overlooked somebody in the prejudging, and maybe that's what we're seeing here.
And it's also to determine, hey, what's happened in 24 hours? Lots can happen to physiques over that time, and they're really taking a good look. The other thing that jumps out to me here is how competitive Tony Freeman is standing next to Dennis Wolf in this lineup. I still think Dexter and Sean Roden will battle for the 3 and 4 spots. After that, I think it's a toss-up between Branch, Dennis, and Freeman for that elusive fifth place that will automatically qualify them to come back next year to the Mr. Olympia.
And relax. Either side for side chest.
Absolutely. And one thing you notice in these comparisons when you see the front lat spreads and the back lat spreads, I think, is that Branch is at a significant disadvantage in terms of X-frame against all these other 4 guys. And I think you're going to see it here when they hit these rear double biceps. I mean, muscularity-wise, very few people are going to touch Branch Warren. But one thing about his frame is it just doesn't look as good when you're talking about that nice X frame.
And relax. Either side for side tricep.
One of the other matchups I'm looking at, in addition to Tony, Branch, and Freeman, is Sean Roden and Dexter Jackson. I mean, maybe you could be looking 10 years into the future or 10 years into the past, depending on how you want to view it in terms of physiques here with symmetry and aesthetics.
And relax.
Fans
Turn
at home,
to the right.
It simply isn't the same as being in that front row.
And I think the judges are rewarding Essa for coming in here tonight, I think, harder and fuller than he was at the prejudging. You know, the discrepancy in his legs, while it's clearly there, it's not as evident as last night because I think he dried out a bit. So credit to them for picking up on that and bringing him out in this lineup. Lionel Bayecki, you can see structurally just how good he is standing next to everybody. Just needs to be a bit tighter. And I think Ben Pekulski's probably very disappointed because he went into that press conference boiling over with confidence, which was great to see. But in terms of the comparisons and the people he's being lined up with, we know he's not going to reach his goal of beating Branch Warren or of really having a top 6 finish at this Olympia. But still a great year for him, put himself on the map, and definitely has a lot to work with.
Yeah, absolutely, and I know Ben, and he's a very hard worker. And probably one of the surprises for me, I would say, is Lionel Bayecki. I just thought, considering how lacking he was in the conditioning department compared to some of these guys, that he probably would be down a bit further. Like you said, though, sometimes having structure and round muscle bellies, it's difficult to overcome that if you're somebody who's, you know, not as structurally superior.
The guy that I think will be happy here is Johnny Jackson. We talked about his conditioning really being on. We talked about this being the best that he's looked at in Olympia in a long time. And while he wasn't at the point of getting compared with that top 6, top 7, he's right in this next lineup, and that could spell the best finish that he's ever had at Mr. Olympia.
And relax.
It's during that 1-2 battle, Kai came off. And, you know, first and foremost, Heath is an athlete. He's a basketballer. He's got that fitness.
And relax.
And as soon as he came out, you could see he was getting fuller and fuller and fuller as the posing went on. But, you know, Kai came off, and he was exhausted. He was almost fainting there. They had to put ice packs on his back there. He was just propped up by the railings where, you know, Heath was getting more pumped up. He was angry. He was really ready to go out and go for war again. And this is part of his strategy, and I think it's going to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I've never really seen Phil Heath get tired or fade during a pre-jet. The only one being is 2009 when he had a case of food poisoning. where obviously that's an extraneous circumstance, but other than that, never seen him get tired, never seen him bend over and huff and puff. We have seen that with Kai, like Chris said. You know, he does carry around a lot of weight. I remember he was on an elevator with me one time. I had walked a few blocks to get there. He was behind us and was definitely out of breath. Now, he was in his off season, but, you know, one thing you can't deny is when you can pose and you have that endurance, it gives you an advantage over everybody else.
And you know, guys, it's a bit surprising that Kai has that problem because the Phil Heath and Kai Greene back center stage, and Chris will find out if Kai has trouble getting through these comparisons.
I mean, if Chris is right about Phil's strategy, this is going to play right into it. And, I mean, when Kai came out for his routine, I thought he had maybe gained some ground on Phil, but as they went through the comparisons, I thought Phil actually was starting to separate himself a little bit. He looked very good in the back poses.
Chris, if you were going to pick one area that you think Phil is most dominant over Kai, and one where Kai is beating Phil, what comes to mind?
And relax.
What comes to mind straight away is in the lat pose. The real lat pose, Heath definitely has a lot of that thickness still going on there, where the width does flare out with Kai, and it seems to lose it. But you can see he's really full throughout the chest now, Phil, and you know that most muscular right there. It just knocks it out the park. But you know, with Kai, yes, he did flatten out a little bit. He is tired, but he's so composed. He's a great showman up there and a true professional.
I think the more they pose, the more Phil becomes more obvious. I mean, the thing that jumps out at me is that roundness and fullness, and Kai does look like physique-wise, to your point backstage, where physically he's faded a little bit, and I think it's made the discrepancy that much more between them.
All right, our top 10 gentlemen in place for the last time tonight. Let's send it down to our head judging table. Take it away, Sandy.
And now we come to it, ladies and gentlemen, the final comparison and pose down.
And we should point out, now we know Essa Obiad, Ben Pekulski, Bill Wilmore, Ronnie Rockel, Fred Smalls, Beto Abispor, Michael Kefelianos, Ruli Winkler, and Hidetada Yamagishi have not made the top 10. So their Olympia 212 experience has come to a close.
Not too many surprises there. A little surprised to see Ben Pekulski out over Lionel Bayeki. But again, we've seen a little bit of a trend with this Olympia. Judges favoring aesthetics, muscle bellies, maybe over a little bit more freakiness and conditioning.
Yeah, I suspect of the guys that we saw not make it, Ben is probably in 11th. We'll find out later tonight when the scorecards are released. But now we have our top 10 going through their compulsories for the final time. And then we'll go into a pose down, and then we will find out who the 2012 Mr. Olympia is.
After about a 55-second pause from our announcer, Bob Cicciarillo, which he's famous for.
And relax. Back lat spread.
walking them over to Bob Ciccarello so we can find out the top 10 at this year's Mr. Olympia.
Absolutely agreed, and the pose down is mostly for the fans, and that's why you see these guys going down to the audience, because they want to give the fans a show. I don't believe I've seen this in a few years, and going down the audience. My first Mr. Olympia, 2004, when I was here, they came down the audience, and actually all the way back to the end of the auditorium, gave the fans a real treat. The fans absolutely love this.
Well, one thing I'm relatively sure I've never seen is not one athlete left on the stage. All 10 of the top 10 are in the audience, walking down in the front row. This is all about being fan-friendly. This is all about giving back to the people that are fans of yours and fans of the sport, that allow you to earn a living and pursue your passion and make a living at it. You're watching the webcast, and there's a little button right there that you can click on, choose your athlete, and vote. We'll be giving out that award in a little while. A couple of the athletes making their way back to the stage. Tony Freeman and Dennis Wolf, who we felt were neck and neck with Branch Warren, with Branch for potentially that final qualifying spot for 5th place. So it won't be long now. You see the fans looking around, having a great time, and if you've never made your way to a Mr. Olympia and you're a bodybuilding fan, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's a blast being here in person, the energy of the crowd, having the opportunity to meet all the athletes at the expo and attend the expo, which was bigger than it's ever been this year. Definitely put it on your calendar for next year and make your way out. Next year, potentially.
Absolutely. Like you said, the expo probably 20–30% bigger this year. The contest gets bigger and bigger every year. The prize money goes up. And as you can see, we've got a fantastic lineup this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing how things shape up and seeing who placed where and seeing how wrong or right we were about what we thought these athletes were going to fall into in terms of placings.
And really can't say enough about Tony Freeman. 46 years old. I think people had written him off as a guy who would challenge for a top 6 spot at the Olympia. And here he is battling, really battling, and looking the best he's looked since he was top 5 at this event a couple of years ago.
Dexter Jackson as well, another guy, even myself included in that audience, I'll call myself out, didn't see him doing as well as he did tonight. You see Bayeki there, man, I tell you what, if that guy dials it in, he's going to be trouble for a lot of people, because when he was doing his front lat spread and they were panned out, I couldn't tell quite who it was, and I was thinking, man, who is that guy with his shoulder to race ratio? And it was the guy I held for a top 6 spot. If he can be this far out of being crisp condition and still be in the top 10, imagine when he puts it all together.
And, you know, with few exceptions, Lane, these guys really in great condition. You know, we're seeing, you know, feathering through the glutes and hamstrings. We're seeing deep striations. We're seeing some guys in the shape of their life. You know, Greene. Dexter Jackson hasn't been in this condition since he won the Mr. Olympia. Sean Roden, clearly the best he's ever been, putting his stamp on the Olympia. I think going to get 3rd, and really, who would have seen that coming? Who would have seen Dexter in the top 4 at this event when most people didn't think he was going to make the top 6? And that's the thing that's great. At the end of the day, we can all predict, we can all project and think who's going to do what.
Absolutely. One of the things you talked about was you can make all the proclamations you want, you can make all the predictions you want. At the end of the day, you got to play the game. The game's on the field. If we just wanted to give awards to the best teams, the Yankees would win the World Series every single year, because on paper they've got the best team. But it matters what you bring on show day. And like you said, for the most part, we saw a lot of personal bests for conditioning and fullness this weekend.
And for all those Red Sox fans out there, that was Lane Norton with the Yankee comment.
Save you guys on the right side of the stage, please. The right side diagonal. Well, let's welcome back Kathleen Tesori from bodybuilding.com. She'll be presenting the 10th place award and the check for $14,000.
strong at 46 years old.
Comes out, a crowd reacts to it. He's always a crowd favorite. We were a little surprised by that.
And the title of 2012 Mr. Olympia. Heath.
And as we discussed earlier, Larry, Phil just a little too much for Kai and takes the next step down the road to building that legacy we talked about.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. I mean, look, taking nothing away from Kai Greene, this is the best he's looked in years. Phil Heath is just a beast. Genetically, the roundness, the fullness, his conditioning was spot on. He was bigger than...
Gentlemen, your favorite pose, please. No more?
First of all, I'd like to thank God because definitely without his strength tonight, man, over the past year I've gone through so much, and it was a hell of a fast year too. And you know, I definitely had to lean on him for a lot of my strength, especially tonight, because I can't even, I just have to give props where props are due. These guys, especially Kai Greene, gave me all that I could handle tonight. And these guys, you know, these guys, Man, it feels freaking good to be king up in here, man. I can't even lie. I am so excited, and I just want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you, Weeder AMI. Thank you, the guys over at Generation Iron. It looks, you guys saw the trailer. It looks pretty awesome, huh? You know, thank you, Team Muscle Tech, Chic, Energy Care. You know, I've got a ton of sponsors. I just want to say thank you all. And after seeing all that, I remember telling my best friend, I got to win this for them. Because I'll tell you what, they grew a lot of people in Colorado with a lot of strength and a lot of heart, and a lot of those people out there were very resilient after what happened. And I know they're going to be back next week in Chiru Classic, and I know they're going to be here next year in Vegas. But I'm going to need a lot of you guys' support. But with that said, I'm going to get up out of here, but I just want to tell you all, thank you so much. God bless. Have a great weekend. Be safe, and continue to support the sport I love, which is bodybuilding. Thank you so much. Thank you.
A couple special folks here for you. All right, well, the Heath family enjoying the moment here on the Olympia stage. Once again, folks, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Phil Heath, your two-time Mr. Olympia. All right, folks, so that pretty much wraps it up for 2012. The gala is going on over at the Orleans Arena. We'll be up there at the Flex Awards, of course.
And obviously a very emotional, charged Phil Heath. You know, something new. We've never seen somebody pull their whole family onto stage, I don't believe. Really have no words to elaborate on that. Just a great show of class, and again, takes one more step down that road to building a legacy.
He does. A fantastic performance for Heath. A lot of performances tonight were really stellar. A great, great Mr. Olympia.